You think the hard part is making a decision, but for most people, the discomfort starts after the decision is made. And what you do in that discomfort, you're training that. If you've ever made a decision and immediately started second guessing it, if you felt the urge to keep revisiting it, replaying it, running every what if, you're not alone. But that loop isn't neutral, and it's not just about the choice, it's about the emotional state you're practicing. We're taught to treat decisions like logic problems. List the pros, list the cons, pick the best option. But here's the reality. By the time you're listing and relisting those pros and cons, you're no longer making a decision, you're managing emotional discomfort. Someone I worked with recently chose to leave a stable job to start their own business. On paper, everything checked out. They planned, saved, calculated risk. But once the decision was made, their emotional state shifted. Urgency, doubt, tightness in the chest. And they started doing something that looked like reevaluating. But what they were really doing was undoing the decision emotionally. Here's what matters. They weren't training clarity. They were training second guessing as a pattern. A lot of capable people confuse indecision with thoughtfulness. They'll say, I just want to be sure, or I need to feel aligned first. Sounds responsible, but let's break it down. Alignment doesn't arrive. It's something you train into. You choose a direction, activate the state that supports it, and stay in that until it stabilizes. That's alignment. Another client pattern I've seen, they commit to a health plan. Week 1 goes great. Week 2, things feel harder. And suddenly the question isn't, how do I follow through? It's, was this even the right plan? That tiny shift back into questioning, that's a trained escape route. It gives the nervous system relief from intensity, but reinforces the very pattern they're trying to outgrow. So here's the reframe. Hesitation doesn't mean you're thoughtful. It means you've conditioned your nervous system to collapse under pressure and call it discernment. This is where most people get stuck. They think they need to feel certain before they act. But emotional certainty isn't something you wait for. It's a state you generate. It doesn't mean having all the answers. It means training your nervous system to stay steady even when you don't. A common example, someone starts setting boundaries in a relationship. They're clear in the moment, but later, after the conversation ends, they start spiraling. Was I too harsh? What if they're upset? What if I made it worse? The action was clear, but the emotional state wasn't trained. So they loop. And the loop teaches the nervous system doubt equals safety. Instead of building resolve, they reinforce collapse. So here's what we practice instead. Choose the decision, then train into certainty. Not confidence, not pride, just steadiness. When emotional intensity spikes, your perception narrows, and that's when decisions start to wobble. Someone makes a big move, a relocation, a breakup, a career shift. They feel strong on day 1, but by day 3, when the nervous system hasn't stabilized yet, intensity hits. Suddenly, everything feels off. That emotional data gets mistaken for truth. This must have been the wrong decision, and the spiral starts. But here's what's really happening. You're not getting new insight, you're getting emotional noise. And if you've never trained your nervous system to stay calm inside intensity, you'll mistake that noise for clarity and reverse course. That moment matters because what you choose inside that discomfort, you're reinforcing that pattern, either the pattern of reacting or the pattern of presence. If this is landing, hit subscribe. I share weekly videos to help you train your inner world with structure and clarity. Let's talk about redeciding, that habit of constantly checking in on the same decision. It's not bringing you closer to truth. It's an emotional avoidance strategy. You're not seeking clarity, you're seeking relief from discomfort. I've seen this with people trying to leave relationships that no longer serve them. They decide, but the moment sadness or fear shows up, They revisit it. We had good times too. What if I never find someone else? So they reopen the decision again and again. Not to get clarity, but to regulate the discomfort through collapse. This is the moment we have to call it what it is. That's not discernment, that's avoidance training. Every time you redecide, you delay the inner muscle you actually need, resolve. Here's the paradox. The emotional clarity people are waiting for, it doesn't precede the choice, it follows the training. If you stay in the loop of I'll act when I feel sure, you'll stay stuck. Because the emotional state you're really practicing is delay. The client who quit their job, the moment they stopped indulging the loop and instead committed to training presence, they noticed something. Their nervous system stopped spiking after decisions. Not because the decisions were perfect, but because the state they lived in after each choice became stable. That's the game. Clarity isn't a download. It's a consequence of emotional conditioning. If you're hearing this and thinking, this sounds like me, you're not broken. You've just been training a pattern that no longer serves, and that can change. So here's the question. What emotional state are you practicing over and over without even realizing it? Are you reinforcing self-doubt, rehearsing collapse, or training steady follow-through? You don't need more information. You need emotional reps in the right direction. If you're ready to stop managing symptoms and start training a steady, resilient inner state, I've built a system for that. It integrates perception, emotion, and nervous system, so you don't just understand your patterns, you actually shift them. Links below. I also share practices weekly on Instagram at Mike Wang Coaching. And if you want more depth, you can join the newsletter below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.